Welcome to the Force Diad Podcast, a Star Wars-centric podcast which aims to connect us fans to our fandom. Each episode, we discuss recent shows, movies, and what's new in books, comics, and gaming. We share our favorite theories and touch on our collectible hobbies, all in an effort to connect the galaxy far, far away to our own. And welcome to the Force Diad Podcast, Episode 5. We're here today to recap Episode 6 of The Bad Batch. Episode was called Decommissioned. I'm here today with Obi-Sean.
Hello there. How we doing?
And Jedi John, as always, right here with you guys.
Late night podcasting.
Oh, it's late.
It is currently 10:51 in the PM Central Standard Time for those of you playing at home. And it is glorious.
I mean, we had a good night.
We did have a good night. Not only do we enjoy talking about Star Wars together, but we are also bowling teammates. And we're celebrating tonight because we absolutely crushed our opponents.
Crushed it.
Jedi John. So this is a 4-game series or 4-game league as opposed to your normal 3-game league.
Yeah.
What did you bowl for 4 games tonight?
I had 938 today.
938.
It breaks down to 234 plus.
Not
a game.
bad. 234 and a half, right?
Yeah.
That ain't bad. Now, I am no slouch, but I did not bowl that well. I only bowled an 843 4-game series tonight, which is a 210 average. So, a lot of fun on the lanes tonight. So, we're both I'm enjoying an adult beverage currently.
I enjoyed a few earlier.
You did. It probably helped you with your bowling game tonight. So it was a lot of fun. A lot to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great night. We really enjoyed ourselves, and it was fun. I mean, tonight was the first time all season that we really came to play at the same time, so to speak.
Yep.
Each one of us had our best night of the league tonight, so that doesn't hurt.
No. I mean, normally you carry me. Although the first couple weeks I did manage to carry you.
Eked out a couple games.
And for the record, I am the worst of the 2 bowlers. But I mean, it was a good night. So, we get to bowl and we get to talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's a good Monday. For
Super
a Monday,
exciting.
It's a good Monday.
And we got a lot to talk about today.
Yes,
we
we
got
do.
an episode. We've got a comic that just came out. We've got some rumors.
Yes.
I mean, we got all kinds of good stuff.
It's going to be good. So before we hop into the episode, let's do socials, right? So for us, it's pretty easy on Twitter, on which I'm very active. So, tweet at me, slip into my DMs, slide into my DMs.
Slide in.
God, I am
slippery slope there. Just slide right in.
Slide into the DMs, right? So on Twitter, we're at Force Diad Pod. And then Facebook and Instagram at Force Diad Podcast. So, follow us, like us. Like I said, pretty active on there. So touch base and talk with me. Talk with us.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. I mean, it is a good time already.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a great time on there, and lots of good interactions with people. So it's great. And then if you're ever interested in more podcasts and you enjoy other fandoms, you can check out the mothership, Galactic Dads. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast.
Anywhere you can get them. It's good stuff over there, though. They really do talk about just about everything fandom related, including some Star Wars, but it's not as in-depth as we have right here.
Yeah, they're basically everywhere they're located, they're at Galactic Dads. Including the Untapped app, because they do enjoy a few adult beverages of their own.
Just a few. Just a few. But yeah, let's just jump right into the episode recap, I guess.
Yes.
Decommissioned. You want to take that away?
I will do that. So, so we find ourselves back in Ord Mantell at Sid's place. And we see a character walk in, and before we know it, I think it's a she. They are startled by I'm going to call it a blaster bolt because I do not know what the bow and arrow is called. So it's going to be a blaster bolt. Flies in front of them, scares them off. What we have is Omega practicing her bow, which she found in the last episode, with the help of Echo. Echo's kind of given her some coaching. And it's funny because the two fellows from the last episode, the Ithorian and I don't know what the other guy, his race is, but he's like a pirate. I know he's, I think his...
They call him a hammerhead? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the spiky head fella.
Oh,
so you have the Ithorian,
yeah.
who is the extent. Anyways,
Yep.
They're taking bets on whether Omega can actually hit the targets.
Yep.
She's got a bit of a shaky setup.
That's one way to put it.
She's got some noodle arms, but that's okay. She's a kid. She's probably never used a bow and arrow before. And so, anyways, they're practicing, and Sid comes to them with more work, and just tells them basically, hey, we've got this tac droid that has valuable information. It's located on Corellia. And Hunter's like, we're not sure if we're ready to work for you. Bit gun shy. And Sid basically says, no, I'm going to tell you, you're working for me. And here's why. You're going to get money. And so...
And I'll keep my mouth shut.
Exactly. So Sid knows a lot of secrets, right? So you don't want to presumably get on her bad side. So we find ourselves going to Corellia, which, for those of you playing at home, is Han Solo's home planet. It's also where I believe the Millennium Falcon was built, because it's a Corellian, isn't it a Corellian class freighter?
Yeah, freighter.
So we find ourselves going to Corellia to basically like a droid recycling plant of sorts, and they break in. Wrecker is put on lookout because Crosshair is not there. Wrecker, as we've learned, is afraid of heights.
Yep, doesn't like those.
And bemoans the fact that he has to go be in the crow's nest area to be the lookout. And so they're scanning the conveyors for our attack droid, and Omega actually spots the pieces of him or it, and the important thing, as Tech points out, is that the head is intact. And just as
and naturally, this is the last tac droid.
That's true. There's only one.
There's only one left.
There's only one in this location. Which is good and bad, come to find out, because as soon as Omega spots it, somebody else snatches it right up. And a sort of a pursuit ensues as they're trying to figure out who has it, where have they gone with it. And as Omega turns, she bumps into somebody who is wearing a worker's outfit, basically like a plant personnel's outfit. And the helmet pops off, or shield pops up, and we've seen this person before, and we've seen them relatively recently. But Omega doesn't know who it is, and she sees her as a threat and draws the bow. Is basically kind of convinced not. Well, actually, she's insulted for her noodle arms, and anyways, they tussle, and her bow drops off the ledge. So, meanwhile, the person who has snatched the tac droid head ends up running into the remaining group of the Bad Batch, as the police droids that are patrolling start to...
They realize that people are there.
Right. They start to...
Oh, because the bow went off.
Correct. Omega shot at this person who they don't know, but we know. And so the police droids are descending on both of their positions, and in an attempt to give themselves time, they shut everything down. They get effectively locked in, and so they're trying to they're trying to figure out how to escape. And you get I think the funniest bit of dialogue in the show so far. You get "Is there an echo in here?" joke, and there's a back and forth. We need a diversion. 2 seconds later, hey, we need a diversion. Is there an echo in here? And Echo pops down. I'm Echo, and
real quick too.
Exactly, it's perfect. And he's like, "Wait, really?
What do you need? I'm Echo."
And so, anyways, they're being surrounded. They're calling to Wrecker. Wrecker's been knocked out. He's been knocked out at this point.
Yeah, the plant's been on lockdown, and they need Wrecker to go reboot the system, basically with a master switch, but almost
Right. And
Rogue One-esque, like find the master switch.
Right. And so, oh yeah, that's before he gets knocked out. And so, anyway, so he jumps across this chasm, swings across, and restarts it. And that's when he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Dang it. Anyways.
Yeah.
And so the plants restarted. The power's kicked back on. Their police droids coming in from the doors that they were supposed to escape out of. And Wrecker's knocked out at this time. Fortunately, he's able to come to his senses. Does some Wrecker bit, jumps down, takes out probably 6, 7, 8 police droids.
He
all
goes
at once.
all Wrecker on them.
He does. And so they're able to, while shooting their way out, escape outside. The 2 people that the Bad Batch run into call for their ship. And they all take... Yes.
They all take it.
They all take the ship out, right? Back to their... Yeah, right. Back to where they landed originally.
Yep.
In the firefight, the TAC droid's head is destroyed. And Tech was able to download it basically onto a memory stick.
Yeah.
For lack of a better, I think they call it a data rod.
Yeah, data rod.
And so, as Hunter's walking away, he turns around and basically gives the data rod to these 2 people who, I don't know that they ever actually introduced themselves.
I don't know if they actually introduced themselves, but I think they use their names enough to where who
Right.
they are. And I'm sure the Bad Batch probably heard them saying their names through the comms because they were close enough in proximity to them.
That's true. There was a lot of Trace and Rafa back and forth. So,
Yep.
so we know them as the Martez Sisters from the second arc of the Clone Wars season 7, episodes 5 through 8.
Yep.
And so,
They're flying back to their ship, drops off the data rod with the Martez Sisters. They fly off. The Bad Batch also escape the planet. And then your final scene is the Martez Sisters on their ship.
and they pull up a hologram of a mystery person.
Yep, just a mystery person.
Who they are saying that they had help from a batch of rogue clones, and they know where to find him.
Yep.
And
because Omega was very
yeah,
very open with location.
yes, hey, we're on Ord Mantell. You should come visit us sometime. And it's interesting because I think it was Trace who goes, "Ooh, Ord Mantell, isn't that place seedy?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's great." And I think we'll talk a little bit about that in a short while about Ord Mantell and its importance. But basically, yeah. So after they talk to the hologram, tell them where they can find these group of rogue clones, it cuts to credits.
Yep.
So
In the episode.
So as far as the episode goes, it was a fun episode. I enjoyed it personally.
Yeah. No, I think it was. I mean, it was enjoyable to watch, and I mean, I watched it late in the day, and it was kind of nice because once it hit Corellia, I was like, "Oh, I could perk up for this. What's going on?" So it was kind of nice.
Yeah. So and there was plenty of action. There was some peril, knowing again Omega has to make it, for a while anyways. There was a sense of like, how are they going to get out of this one when she kind of falls into the pit?
Yeah. She got stuck for a second, and then we also we saw her grow again in the episode. Mm-hmm. We saw her pretty, accurate with that bow.
Super effective with the bow at the end. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, she is learning to master.
She's
that weapon.
She's a quick learner. She's a quick study.
Very much.
So as far as the episode goes, I would probably give it a bit higher than maybe some of the recent ones. So maybe like a 7, 8 to an 8.
Yeah, I'm probably a hard 8. I mean, we had good good stuff, and we got that it's all connected moment again.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for me, that just is my dream come true. Thank you, Filoni. Like, it is. I mean, I just enjoy it because it connects more of the story and more of the current content that we've known already. And I think there's gonna be more still. I think we're gonna get into that when we get to the theories. IMDb put this is actually the worst episode so far in IMDb at a 7.4.
It's probably because it has the Martez Sisters and nobody liked them.
I don't
for some
know why
reason.
they didn't like them. I mean, I felt like it was a good representation for new, I mean, new people that we have never seen in the Star Wars universe in particular.
It was what I've seen a lot of complaints about is the filler nature of these shows. Like, I don't personally understand the gripes that people have with quote filler episodes, whether it's a total, like a full arc, like with the Martez arc in season 7, which I think people saw as fillers because they're like, what is the importance of this? And now I think we're kind of seeing the importance of this because I believe
we'll get to the theory on it.
well, I believe that there was a plan to have them in the Bad Batch. I think the Bad Batch as a series was probably greenlit towards maybe the end of, like, I think there was an idea that they were going to do a Bad Batch series.
They probably greenlit it while Filoni was writing
while
it
season
after,
7 was being written.
Yeah, because I mean, he probably introduced them and said, "I want to do things with these characters going forward," and
so that's why the Martez sisters, I think, are in it were in it, and why we saw it as, who are these two people that mean nothing?
Although there was that one episode in the Clone Wars, and this is actually a legit gripe, where the whole episode was just a big circle. Ahsoka got out of her cave, out of the prison
That is
cell,
true.
and
That
then
is true.
by the end of the episode, she was right back where we started. We literally moved nowhere. That episode was really rough, and that would be a true filler episode, like that I would gripe about. This is not just a filler. I mean, this gave us good info, so I don't even consider this necessarily a filler. But yeah, I know people were unhappy with that arc, and I think it just kind of bled over to this because, well, if they didn't like him the first time, they're not going to like him this time, and
They don't like being force-fed something they didn't like to begin with.
right.
But I don't, as far as the filler stuff goes, again, going back to my escapades on Twitter, of which I've become very, very familiar with, talking with people, the need to have a quote filler episode or episodes to get to, you have to have you have to build to stuff. You can't just have big action scene after big action scene after big action scene, because that makes literally no sense. You can't just go from one battle to the next unless you're in the middle of a war. The problem is, we're not in the middle of the war anymore. The war is over. And so, yeah, you're going to have the insurgency of the rebellion, but that's really not going to perk up for at least a little while. And so you can't just you can't have multiple aftermath episodes one after the other, because there just isn't, it just doesn't make sense. You have to have them going to different places. They're on the run. They can't exactly be, out in front, making noise everywhere. So filler, again, to use air quotes,
yeah.
It builds story. It allows you to flesh out characters. It allows you to introduce characters that you may see further down the line, either in this season or in future seasons, etc. So the whole filler gripe is just the whole instant gratification.
It's already getting old if you haven't figured it out. I don't know if he's ranted enough on this. It's getting old.
Yes, please don't do it.
So sorry you feel like it's a filler. Guess what? It's a show for 12-year-olds. I mean, get over it.
And you have 16 episodes.
Yeah. I mean there's going to have to be some storylines that maybe you didn't like, but it's all still moving forward.
Right.
Like, you still learned important things that if you didn't find them out in this episode, you'd get mad when somebody, like, let's say Omega in 3 episodes just pulled out her bow and started killing people because all of a sudden she'd
be
a
Mary Sue.
Oh, she's Mary Sue, blah, blah, blah. So, like, okay, well, you saw her learn it. So get over it now.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's good info in these episodes, and it's not the movie. So I don't know what you're missing.
Right.
Like, you're watching these characters evolve, and we made the joke last time, upgrade their skills. And I mean, Omega now has a weapon that she knows how to use.
Yes, her archery is level 4. We're
Yeah.
gonna give her level 4.
Level 4. It was real weak. It was 1.
It
when we
was definitely
started.
1 with the noodle arms.
But yeah, really quickly got up to a 4 by the end of the episode. But yeah, I mean, we got to see some good stuff, and filler episode or not, I feel like this episode deserves a better rating than what it got on IMDb. So, all right, well, let's move into our newest segment on the show, which is our oldest friend.
Yes.
He's one of my oldest friends.
So we're gonna run through the Martez sisters real quick, along with one extra one. We're gonna make a nice little nod to somebody else in the episode that we saw briefly. But Bridget Kaylee Canales voices Trace Martez. That's the youngest Martez sister, and then Elizabeth Rodriguez is Rafa Martez. They both same voice actresses that came from season 7 in the Clone Wars. Episodes 5 through 8 is when we saw them interact with Ahsoka and get wrapped in to a spice run for the Pikes. For the Pikes, and the
Pike syndicates,
the
not
Pike
the
syndicates.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting storyline from the aspect that all of a sudden you have Ahsoka, who used to be a Jedi, wrapped into running drugs across the galaxy, and finding themselves in predicaments and getting in trouble. And that was the first introduction we had for the Martez sisters. We don't exactly know where their storyline is going to go. I think that's part of was part of Filoni's plan from the beginning, like you said, is these are characters that he can build off of still, that we don't know everything about yet. And so there's still wonderment. Like, it's the same reason why we have the Bad Batch and Omega. We don't know where these characters are going to end up because we're playing episodes out in between other historical events that have happened and we've seen in the movies. So if you keep giving us characters that we know all the time, we know their fate. So there's no gamble on some of these things. There's no threat.
Yeah, there's no peril.
There's no peril.
There's no tension.
It was the same thing when we watched episode 1 for the prequels. We knew Obi-Wan couldn't get killed.
Right.
It was impossible. Okay? So, like, it just goes back to that kind of feeling of, hey, we know where these characters are going, but in this case, the Martez sisters, brand new, don't know where they're going. When we left them, they were still going to be running jobs as smugglers, which obviously they're doing pretty well now because they seem to be more organized now.
Well, the thing and the thing I think that the whole Martez arc was meant to show is, and this isn't a unique opinion, but is the fact that the Jedi as a group were not necessarily viewed as the protectors and saviors by everyone, the way that maybe if you just watch the movies or what have you, you're led to believe. The two sisters are trying to get by, they're trying to survive, and Ahsoka being a former Jedi, it's like, hey, I'm a Jedi, and they're like, great, what have you done for us? Like, what have you done for the normal people? And so I think it gives that sort of common person, that layperson perspective on the Jedi that, again, I think helps shape Ahsoka's view of who she is, both.
Yeah, maybe we really weren't helping like we thought we were.
Right. And so I forget the line she says at the end of their arc, but basically, you help people because it's the right thing to do, not because it's going to gain you anything or what have you. It's because it's the right thing to do. And so I think it's important that we do get to see them again, for whatever their arc gets, ends up being. It's fun to see that they're not just throwaway characters and that it meant more than just the 4-episode arc.
Yep, absolutely. So looking forward to what else we get out of them further down the road in the series, or other series, depending on where their arc really takes them. Now, we're going to throw one more in there, which is kind of we'll get into our theories after this today. We decided to wait on the theories chat until we got through this. But we also get to see R7 again.
Yeah, so that's R7. What's his full? He's R7A7 is his full astromech ID. And for those who don't know who R7 is, he it's given a he. It's actually in the Wikipedia. He's given a masculine programming, so we're going to call him he. He is Ahsoka's astromech that she has through all of her time, or most of her time in the Clone Wars, and we last see R7 aboard the Venator that Ahsoka and Rex and Maul are on.
And the rest of the 332nd.
That's, and Jesse and everybody else hurtling towards Coruscant, I believe. No, they're on their way to Coruscant because they have Maul, I think.
Well, they were on their way, but they didn't.
They didn't get there. Yeah, they definitely did not get there.
Destroyed before that. Yeah.
Right. But anyways, R7 helps them to, along with the other droids, to escape, essentially. And the last time we actually see R7, he's in pieces underneath the Y-wing that Rex commandeers off of the Venator that eventually crashes. And so clearly R7's been rebuilt. R7 has also clearly been given to the Martez Sisters. So which kind of leads us into
our
theories. And that is, well, the biggest theory is who is the hologram, and what purpose do they play? So, are we in agreement on who we think? Let's do.
So they gave us in the episode the context of him.
Yes.
Bring him up.
Yep. They said patch him in.
Patch him in.
So Rafa tells R7 to patch him in. So, and it's specifically him in the subtitles, not patch like EM.
Like Ash Ketchum.
Right. Exactly. So it's patch him through. So it's a male character. Because when I first saw it, I thought, okay, it could be Ahsoka.
Yeah, and they were definitely looking at a person because even for Fulcrum from Rebels, they either called them Fulcrum, and some people did give pronouns, but whenever Hera was talking about it, it was always just Fulcrum. Mm-hmm. It was never given a pronoun, and it's because they didn't know who it was, which it turned out to be Ahsoka. Right. So that's why I don't think that this is necessarily Ahsoka, because they said him. So
that leaves us with a couple. I would say the obvious one is probably Rex, because we know he's in the show because we saw him in the trailer.
And he had a piece, like he had R7.
You're right. He was one of the last two people, or he was one of two people to
that could have R7 right now.
The other one, and the more exciting one, or maybe the more fun one, which is the one that I'm starting to lean to after, I guess, Twitter discussions.
I'm leaning very hard to this one. So.
And more internet sleuthing on Google Images, and that is Bail Organa of Alderaan. And so, which would be really exciting. It would be another step towards connecting everything.
Yeah. And it makes sense because he had already left the capital, taken Leia back to Alderaan already. So all of these things kind of just fall in line of where he's at in his quest to rebel against the Empire.
Yeah, and he's started his sort of his rebellion group.
Cell.
Yeah. And we know, from looking up Wikipedia stuff, you have the fact that he, 18 BBY. So I did some research earlier today. 18 BBY is when he recruits effectively Ahsoka to join his group. Now, what we don't know is where we are at currently in a timeline in the Bad Batch. We know it started with Order 66. We know we're 6 episodes in. We don't really know if that's 6 weeks. We don't know if that's 3 months. We don't know if that's 6 months. We don't really know where we're at. So it could, as far as it being Bail and his connection to Ahsoka, the fact that R7 is Ahsoka's droid, and Ahsoka is the only person to have known the Martez sisters from from our past experiences. So,
How you get back to them is probably Ahsoka dealing with Bail, gives the droid to the Martez sisters because, well, you need an astromech on that ship. So, and depending on what Ahsoka's doing right now, she doesn't need an astromech. So, in order to aid them in getting a tactical droid, which is something they need in order to defeat the clone army, which is now fighting for the Empire, it becomes a necessary thing to give them to aid their mission. And Ahsoka could be doing anything else right now.
And the way that Rafa said the thing about we had help from rogue clones, thought you'd like to know, makes me think that, so obviously Rex would be familiar with his clone brothers, especially the Bad Batch, but it's also possible that Rex, along with Ahsoka, would have, in working with Bail, told him what was going on and probably let them know about this other group of...
Yeah, like I said, I like the Bail theory. I really like the Rex theory because it's the obvious one, because we saw him in the trailer already. It's a good segue to get to him, and it would make sense that they would be like, "You're a clone. Hey, we just met some rogue clones also, so I thought you would like to know." And because last we heard of him, he went through and said hi to Cut and went on, and he could have rendezvoused with Ahsoka again, or been working with, she could have introduced him to the Martez sisters also, and he may have said, "We need the droid," because he would be the first one to say this droid would have battle plans versus somebody like Bail or even Ahsoka. Now, granted, Ahsoka knows what a tactical droid is, but really Rex would be like, they have all the battle schematics of what the clones do. We need that droid information. So that's why I like the Rex theory more than the Bail, but I lean towards the Bail because I think it'd be more fun, and we could get the introduction for the Fulcrum program and everything else. So it would lead us to a bigger connection versus just connecting Rex and Ahsoka to the Bad Batch again.
Right. And the last thing too is in the hologram, the person appears to be wearing some sort of cloak, or which I don't know that Rex would. He could blend in.
Rex in
his
disguise.
army.
We did see like even the Bad Batch when in episode 2, Cut and Run, like
that's true.
They had cloaks on and ponchos and stuff like that to blend in. Like he could be in anything.
Yeah.
So it's totally possible. We don't know. Like I said, those are probably the two favorite answers, and I'm still leaning more Bail because I think it'd be more fun.
What if they're not working for the good team?
Well, good for them. They're probably making more money.
I was gonna say, what if that person is like?
I would just say it's unlikely because they have R7.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good
I think
point.
R7 wrecks that theory for me, even though I would love if they were like stealing the tactical droid info to improve the clone army for the Empire. But I just don't think that's the case.
That's true. Yeah. So
because the Empire could have got that info. They're the ones that decommissioned the droids.
That's
so
true. They could have just taken
it. So it doesn't. Yeah, none of those.
It doesn't fit.
I like it. I would love to see them kind of do the whole betrayal thing again, but at the same time, it doesn't fit. So
right.
And then our next theory for the episode takes us to Wrecker. Guess what, everybody? We were right, along with almost everybody on the internet.
Exactly.
That head thing came true. Good soldiers follow orders.
He never finished the quote though. He fought through it. He didn't say follow orders.
Oh, he didn't?
He kept saying good soldiers, good soldiers, good soldiers.
Yeah, I know. And I think, and that's one of the reasons why I think that eventually we're going to get to Ahsoka. And my theory on this whole situation is Ahsoka will be the one that triggers his Order 66. And she'll also be the reason, along with possibly Rex or Tech's device, that help them. I'm thinking Ahsoka can. We saw Fennec Shand knock him out. I'm sure Ahsoka can also knock him out, or force push him into something and knock him out. Whatever. She can knock him out. That way they can reprogram the chip or remove the chip to turn him back
which
into
R7
Wrecker.
has experience in.
R7's done it before.
He helped remove Rex's chip.
So I think that's how we get to Wrecker really flipping And I think that's how you do like a two. It could be one episode. I think you probably get in a 2-part episode because in my head, how it plays out is it's just, hey, they are on the quest. They meet it. They run into Ahsoka at the end of the episode and then you see Wrecker kind of flip, and then they get into a fight of some sort, and then you see the screen go for the episode. And then part 2 is the next episode when they continue the battle. He gets knocked out. They work with the Bad Batch to restore Wrecker to his old self. I can just see it playing out. I mean, either way, it's either a 1-episode thing where he's rough for an episode, but then they fix him by the end, or it's a 2-part episode where he's flipped for a good chunk of the first one, and then the second one, maybe the first 5 minutes until they get him knocked out, and then they start working for the solution. I don't know. But I do think that that's going to be the trigger for him. Unless maybe they run into Saw Gerrera again because they were told to destroy him once already.
Yeah.
But I like the Ahsoka flipping
it
him.
would likely be... It would make more sense to have it be a Jedi. And I'm curious
Even though she is no Jedi.
That's true. And Rex tried to explain that to Jesse, and Jesse did not understand that either. And that did
She
not
has
work.
lightsabers, so you're a Jedi.
She does have, you have the laser swords. You're a Jedi. And so I'm curious if they would use, because it would, from a writing standpoint, and a character development standpoint, it would probably hurt more, is to have Wrecker be the sacrifice of sorts. And because of how attached Omega and him have become, like that would be like look at most heroes' journeys, right? They go through some sort of trauma, and
You think Rekka is the
I think Rekka might be that. It could be, if we're looking at something as a counterpoint to, hey, he gets his chip removed, it could be that kind of,
they have no choice.
That moment where it's in life that you're faced with these decisions.
I mean, that'd be big for Hunter too, because we already saw Hunter kind of disappointed in himself that they left Crosshair, and him and Omega had already spoken about that, how they don't leave their own behind. So if they were to have to do something to Wrecker to either kill him or leave him somewhere, I think that would also weigh very heavily on Hunter again. So,
I mean, it's certainly not popular. That would not be a popular opinion. I mean, I think Wrecker has, actually, I have to say, I think it's pretty clear that Wrecker is one of the more favorite characters because of his kind of happy-go-lucky, ditzy, if you want to call it that. But he's got, he's that big brother to his little sister Omega, and so, and he's fun. He's a fun character, and so that would be unfortunate. But I think that they could write it in a way that it made sense, and it wasn't just a total one out of nowhere sort of thing, or it would be a gut punch, but it would be something that in the grand scheme of it would be kind of that building, that character building moment for the rest of the squad, maybe Omega. So to just play outside the box.
Yeah, I think that's it for theories though, right? Nothing too crazy, nothing brand new that the Martez sisters, obviously, and who they're talking to, that was a new thing for this episode, but the Wrecker thing we've had for weeks now. It just finally got to the point where it started really affecting
finally
them.
Triggered.
And so we'll see how much it affects him in the coming episodes. Okay. Well, I know last week we both picked up the new comic that came out, the War of the Bounty Hunters episode. Issue number 1 came out, and man, titled Most Wanted. And we get to learn what happened to Boba between leaving Cloud City and getting to Tatooine, between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah. By the way, spoiler alert, if you plan to... Well, one, if it hasn't already been spoiled for you, but if you plan to read this Just an FYI.
Yeah, just a big spoiler.
This
just,
is a spoiler alert.
Take a 10-minute, maybe come back in 10 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, and it probably won't even take us that long to get through this. It's a good issue, good start.
It's a fun story.
It's from a certain point of view of what could have happened in that time. Like in our heads, originally, he took Han Solo. It was an easy trip to Tatooine. He closes out like it's good to go. Instead, that's not the case. Yeah. So I mean,
it's a really fun read in that you've got Solo basically getting sniped, and
yeah, we don't know who it is right away.
correct, and all we know is that he was at some doctor's. Boba took him to some doctor to make sure he was doing fine, and while he's there, he gets sniped, and so it kind of cuts back and forth, but the majority of the issue centers on Boba. And the fact that now he has a hit out for him.
Boy, he is one cocky guy too.
I love the writing because it's one of those where he gets to be the badass you want him to be.
It is purely like, do you know who I am? Do they think they know who they're dealing with? Because they're dead. Right now, they're all dead. And we got that line multiple times, like somebody's going to die. Like they stole from me. They're going to die. So, yeah, and we run into some old bounty hunters that we saw in Empire.
Yep, Zuckuss makes an appearance.
Zuckuss, and oh boy, who was the droid?
It was not Forlom.
Yeah, no, it's Forlom.
Was it Forlom?
Yeah, sorry, it was Forlom. Yep. So Forlom and Zuckuss show up to because it was open to anybody. And I mean, he had already killed people in the bar for trying to kill him right away. He's like, even the bartender's like, "What was that about?"
I don't know. Probably owed him money or
Yeah.
something.
Not my problem now.
Right.
So, and he messages Bib Fortuna, says, "Hey, I caught a delay. I'm still bringing Solo." And he's just basically the whole time just tracking who took it. And then Zuckuss and Forlom show up, and he's like, "I'm not dealing with you." And then they booby trapped a ship, which is just hilarious. And he's like, "That's disrespectful." So what happens when somebody disrespects you, man?
Kick him off a ledge.
You kick him off a ledge.
And then you rip the droid's head off.
You rip a droid's head off, and you're like, "I need info from you, bud." So they figure out, he tracks down who issued the bounty, and he realizes, oh, it's Jabba. So
then he pays Bib a visit at Jabba's palace.
They're really nice.
It's
really visit.
cordial.
Yeah.
They're like BFFs.
He just kills a couple Gamorrean guards. No big deal.
And
he threatens the entire palace,
Yes.
basically, because Jabba's not there.
Right. Yeah. Jabba's off
Rendezvousing to get him
to
get Solo.
Right. Exactly. And so there's a meeting of the Hutts, basically.
It was interesting to see the meeting of the Hutts.
It
We've
was
seen that in the Clone Wars before.
with like Zero and those ones. Yeah, exactly. And so the whole back and forth, and we learn that the person who happens to have stolen him it's a member of the Crimson Dawn, who are the crime syndicate that we see we're first introduced to in Solo. Dryden Voss running the crime syndicate. I don't think they mention, unless it's mentioned in Rebels, because I don't think Crimson Dawn exists
it
during the
was
Clone Wars,
yeah,
but I don't know that.
I mean, it was mentioned in Rebels because you find Maul again.
Oh, right.
In Rebels, and he mentions it a couple times, but he's not really involved with them.
Right. Because Rebels and Solo take place about the same time, I think. It's about 5 years
roughly
prior to the Battle of 5 BBY. So, anyways, so yeah, they've learned that the Crimson Dawn a member of the Crimson Dawn has stolen Solo, and they're going
back
to meet
because they've been silent for a while.
Yeah, a long time now, and so they cut back to the big reveal. I'm probably skipping too far ahead.
No, I mean you're good. I mean, the Hutts meet. They just want to know if it's a legit thing,
right?
Because I mean, the Hutts are a crime syndicate also. So if there's a new crime syndicate that hasn't been around for a while, well, that's something to worry about possibly. So
Yeah, from a competitive standpoint,
yeah,
for sure.
so they're kind of concerned about that, like if it's real and everything else, and yeah, and we find out Boba finds out who Hutt got the invitation from and leaves, and we know that he's on the way, and then we get the reveal that why did you steal Solo, and it's amazing. Like everybody in the galaxy knows Han Solo, whether it's for a good reason, for a bad reason. You love him, you hate him. He owes you, you owe him.
Han Solo connects the universe.
Connects the universe for Star Wars, evidently.
He's like the living force, apparently.
He really is.
He's the force embodied in a human, according to the comic.
So, but good stuff. And you get that page is so cool because you get Afra from the Afra comics. You get Dengar's on that page. You get a couple other people.
We get Luke and Leia, and
Luke,
on
Leia,
board
and
of
Chewie.
One of
the med
the med ship at the end of Empire Strikes Back.
So you get like that cool, just that cool 2-pager of, I mean, everybody that could be after. Like Dengar was like, oh, I can get Solo and Boba. I'll be set for life if I can take care of both these bounties in one, So it's kind of crazy how it really does like bring everybody back into the fold of things. And so, and we find out that person from Crimson Dawn just wanted the attention. They wanted the clout. They wanted the all eyes on them again. And then we realize that as they're walking away, they say like Han Solo wanted to save me once, and now is his chance. As in, he's gonna put me back in power. And we find out that as she's walking away, somebody says, "Yes,
Lady Kira."
Lady Kira.
And you're like,
so,
oh snap!
And that's the end of the issue. So Kira is back from Solo. We already knew that she was kind of gonna run the show in Dryden Voss's absence, as she took the ship and went away and talked to Maul in that last scene.
Make Solo 2 happen,
please. I mean,
just let us have it.
That or just do
they have the story.
Yeah, they really do.
Oh, that would be a fun show.
I think a lot of it is just we're gonna get it in through comics, which is fine with me.
But that would be a fun show too. Like, I mean, they're already making Andor. They could make like a crime. I mean, I guess they kind of did that with the Mandalorian, but that would be fun.
It would be a fun watch if it was a show for the rest of Solo, like that, like a continuation on with the crime syndicates and everything. And it doesn't even have to be that. Like, I think, we just talked about it on Neglected Dads. I'll plug them real quick, but we just talked about how on Jupiter's Legacy is not getting renewed on Netflix, but instead they're coming out with a new show focused on the villains of that show, which I think is going to be great because some like Hutch specifically like stole that show in some cases. What if they did that for the Star Wars side? Like, I know that you said like, oh, the kind of Mandalorian did it with the Bounty Hunters Guild.
Yeah.
But it would be different if it was from the viewpoint of Crimson Dawn and how they were trying to work around the other mob bosses, basically, the crime syndicates. So how they would make a treaty with the Hutts and maybe to betray them sometimes or go back and forth with the Pikes or whoever else they were trying to steal power from at the time. And it would be, I mean, it'd be a fun crime show to watch as in the Star Wars universe.
For sure. So. And we have, from this last episode of the Bad Batch, the fact that we talked about how Ord Mantell is a seedy place, and
Sid is very well connected with multiple buyers, so to speak. I'll call them buyers, clients
for sure, because it's I guess like
we already knew the Jedi went through her. I mean, she's a full-blown mercenary.
Oh, for sure, because you had
the Jedis went through her.
We
already know crime syndicates go through her.
You had the Shadow Collective. You had the Black Sun. Were all all set up shop on Ord Mantell. So every single one of them is going to have informants, and I would be highly shocked if Sid was only working for the Jedi, because there's not.
No, we already knew that. So she already got the Bad Batch already did a job for the Hutts without knowing.
That's
through
true.
Sid, and then she was the Jedi contact. So like she's definitely playing both sides. So I would not be surprised if we see more active players. like maybe I know you were really stuck on that Cad Bane. You were hoping it was going to be
Oh
Cad.
yeah.
We might still see him. So
Yeah, that would like just to kind of wrap up that point about the crime syndicates and how much fun that would be to see as a show. I don't know that you could do that on Disney Plus. It would have to be.
they got to come out with a rated R version eventually. I mean, come on. I mean, Logan has to hit it somewhere. You know, I mean, they're gonna have to do it. They've got all the Fox movies
That's
that they got to
true.
throw on there still.
That's true.
I mean, what are you gonna do with Deadpool?
And I mean,
Just
to be
leave
fair,
them out
the
to dry?
Avengers aren't exactly the most,
I mean, they're PG-13, but it's a
they're they're one F-bomb away from being R. But as far as the comic goes, it's a lot of fun, and it sets up. This is what 7-ish years, because it would be 5, because Empire was what 2 or 3 years after the Battle of Yavin, so it's 8 years roughly since we've last seen them. And so the question is, and I don't know if this comic is canon or if it would become canon.
I mean, really, almost any comic now can be almost considered canon because Marvel has it, which is owned by Disney. So it should be pretty much canon.
Right.
They still might retcon some stuff out of it, but you can almost take it as canon stories.
So that would be fun if one, to see where this storyline goes. Because I don't know if this is a limited run, or because I know there's a separate War of the Bounty Hunters that's on like issue 14. So this is kind of like this kind of goes alongside of it. So I don't know if this is going to be like a 6-issue or an 8-issue, or if this is going to be kind of an expanded. I mean, you can only fill in so much gap.
Well, I mean,
before it has to. Before Solo has to get to Tatooine.
Yeah.
And so, but for what 30 pages, if that, they cram a lot of fun stuff into it.
But the artwork's great. I mean, the story's great. Charles Soule did a great job, or is doing a great job. He's not done yet. I can't wait to read the rest. And the next issue comes out July 14th. So I'm looking forward to that. We got to wait a month, unfortunately. But I mean, can't wait to read issue 2 and go through that. Yeah, I think, is that it for tonight?
I think that's it.
Man, we
covered a lot.
Covered a lot, real quick.
I mean, the only other thing was the rumor thing that dropped this afternoon, I guess.
Yes.
And that is, to kind of wrap up the whole bounty hunter discussion, that Bosk is going to be in Book of Boba.
Yeah, you know what's funny about all that is, like, we got this War of the Bounty Hunters last week. The only one from Empire that we didn't see was Bosk. Because we got Zuckuss and Forlom and Dengar in this issue.
Well, and you didn't get IG,
no
IG-88.
Right. But we've seen so many IG droids in other comics and everything else. I mean, they're almost commonplace. Just IG-88 would be special to see. And who knows? He's probably still going to show up because it's open to all hunters. So, at least at this time, the bounty was. So, good stuff, though. Yeah, but I mean, and it would be awesome to see Bosk in Book of Boba.
Oh, for sure. It'll be fun. And
we already saw the Trandoshan's in Mandalorian already, the species at least. So, seeing Bosk is not far-fetched at this point because, I mean, I almost thought that he was going to be on that with them. I was waiting for like Bosk to show up to be like the final boss for Mando to get back to his ship.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
But we just got just your run-of-the-mill Trandoshans, which is fine. It was cool to see because we'd never seen him on screen before, other than him.
In live action.
Live action, yeah.
Right, because we got him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
For an episode or two, but yeah. The dogs.
Yeah, welcome to my life. The dogs. The dogs are up.
Well, the dogs are up. It's what time is it now? It's 11:45.
Yeah, they got a late start today.
Yeah.
So, I wonder what they're barking at though. But anyway, all right.
But that wraps it for this week, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't picked up the issue for the comics yet, War of the Bounty Hunters, excellent issue. They also have the Alpha issue, which is the prelude, which is Precious Cargo. Again, written by Charles Soule. It's a different artist, though. It's got McNiven on it versus Ross. But excellent story. Still, we might cover that after Sean gets a hold of it here.
Yeah, I ordered it at bowling. I ordered it at Bowling Tonight off Amazon. I'm like, I have to have this.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. We'll probably recap it since we have a month until we get the next episode or next issue.
And then we've got end of the month will be High Republic 6 is June 30th.
Yeah, so when we get that in, we'll recap the first 6 issues because we've obviously not had a chance to recap the other 5 yet. So
that
we'll
might have to be
all
its own. That might have to be like half of an episode.
I mean, it'll be fun.
There's a lot in there, so
It'll be fun to recap it. I mean, we can just run through it pretty quick for those of you that, I mean, especially if you've already read it versus not reading it. But the High Republic is putting out all kinds of content right now. Is the second book out yet?
Yeah.
Kim Scott should have gone out.
Yeah, I think Rising Storm has come out.
Yeah, so I mean, you got 2 novels now plus.
I need to get Light of the Jedi for my vacation next week.
Yeah, enjoy that being in Florida.
I will. I'll enjoy the sun. I'll try not to turn into a lobster, but I need some reading material. So maybe I'll pick up Light of the Jedi and try and read that. Try and read that next week while I'm on vacation.
That'd be good stuff. All right, well, until next time, everybody.
May the Force be with you.